You know, the older we get, the more we realize something. Life isn't just about what you share, it's about what you protect. And here's the truth, not everything is meant for public display. Sometimes the greatest strength is in what you don't say, what you don't show, and what you quietly keep for yourself. So today, let's talk about the things older women should hide from everyone, not because you're secretive, but because you're smart. When you reach a certain stage in life, you realize that not every part of your journey needs to be narrated to the world. Your personal struggles and battles are some of the most sacred parts of your story. They've shaped you, tested you, broken you down, and built you back up again. They are the moments where you learned the most about who you are, but also the moments where you were at your most vulnerable. And when you share those raw, unfiltered battles with everyone, you give people a window into your most delicate places. Not everyone will treat that information with care. Some will sympathize, some will admire you, but others might use it to define you, to reduce you to those moments, or worse, to manipulate you. The truth is, your hardships are like your fingerprints, completely unique to you, and they deserve to be held and guarded with the same care you'd give to something irreplaceable. It's tempting to open up completely, especially when we're in a culture that constantly tells us to share our truth or be transparent. But transparency has limits when it comes to self-preservation. There is a difference between being honest and being exposed. You can be honest about the fact that you face challenges without narrating every detail of the pain. There is strength in letting people see your resilience, without letting them dig through the exact trenches you've crawled out of. The people around you don't need to know the full scope of the nights you cried yourself to sleep, the times you thought about quitting, or the heartbreak that made you question your worth. Those moments are sacred because they belong to you, and you are the one who decides when, where, and with whom they are shared. When you tell everyone about your deepest struggles, you risk giving away parts of yourself that you may not be ready to have judged or misunderstood. It's important to remember that the human mind loves to label and categorize. Once you share a painful chapter, some people will forever read you through that lens. They might measure your current strength by the weakness they once saw, or hold you to the version of yourself you were in that low moment. You've grown since then. You've evolved, and not everyone is capable of seeing the updated version of you without getting stuck on the older draft. Guarding your personal battles doesn't mean shutting people out. It means being intentional. It means choosing your audience wisely, confiding in those who have earned the right to hear your story, those who will protect it instead of spread it, and those who will honor your vulnerability instead of exploiting it. There's a reason certain parts of your life feel heavier to share. It's because they carry pieces of your soul, and the soul is not something you hand out casually. You've already fought through so much, and you owe it to yourself to keep certain victories and scars as private treasures. You don't have to let everyone in on the exact details of the storm you survived to prove you're strong. Your strength is visible in how you carry yourself today, in your composure, in your peace, in the way you no longer flinch when life throws something unexpected at you. The quiet confidence of someone who has survived without broadcasting every wound speaks louder than any story could. Some of the most powerful people you'll ever meet are the ones whose past battles you'll never fully know. They've mastered the art of holding their history close, letting only the wisdom, not the wounds, show. Money is one of the most personal and sensitive subjects in life, and as you grow older, you start to understand the power that comes with keeping your financial details private. Your financial situation, whether it's abundant or modest, is not something that needs to be on display for public opinion. The reality is, once people know exactly what you have, they will start to form narratives in their minds. Some will expect you to give or help more. Others might envy or resent you, and some may even start to calculate how they can benefit from your position. When you keep your finances to yourself, you hold control over how people interact with you, and you protect yourself from expectations that can quietly become burdens. It's not about being secretive for the sake of secrecy, it's about self-protection and independence. Money changes the way people see you, sometimes in ways you won't even notice at first. A simple piece of financial information can plant a seed of judgment that grows over time. If someone believes you're doing exceptionally well, they might assume you can afford to say yes to everything. They might begin to question your choices or feel entitled to your resources. On the other hand, if they think you're struggling, they may see you as less capable or treat you with a kind of pity that underestimates your strength and resilience. Neither of those perspectives truly reflects who you are, yet both can influence how you're treated. By keeping your financial details private, you're not only protecting your resources, you're protecting your peace. You don't have to answer unspoken questions about why you bought something, why you didn't buy something, why you take certain trips, or why you make certain sacrifices. When you remove that information from the conversation, you give yourself the freedom to make decisions without an audience dissecting them. This freedom is especially valuable because as life goes on, your financial choices become more about personal goals and long-term security than about proving anything to anyone else. There's also a deep emotional layer to finances that people often overlook. Money is tied to hard work, sacrifice, and sometimes even painful lessons. The numbers in your bank account are not just numbers. They are stories of years of effort, discipline, and navigating difficult circumstances. Those stories are personal, and they deserve to be shared only with people who respect them enough not to use them against you. Not everyone has that respect. Some see financial details as an opportunity to measure your worth or compare themselves to you, which can quietly create distance, competition, or tension in relationships that once felt simple. Your romantic history is one of the most personal archives you will ever have, and not everyone deserves a copy. It contains moments of deep connection, heartbreak, lessons learned, and choices you made in times when you were different from who you are now. The more people know about every detail of that history, the more they may start to see you through those old chapters instead of the person you've become today. There's a certain power in allowing your current self to be defined by your present actions rather than by a trail of past relationships that no longer reflect your reality. Protecting that history isn't about hiding mistakes or pretending they didn't happen. It's about keeping those experiences in the hands of people who will treat them with respect, not as gossip or ammunition. When you share too much about who you've been with, what you've been through, and why things ended, you open yourself to interpretations you can't control. People will filter your story through their own beliefs and biases, and once a narrative takes root in their mind, it's hard to change. They might view you through the lens of your past partners, assuming those choices define your standards or your value. They might analyze your current relationship decisions with unnecessary scrutiny, looking for patterns or mistakes to predict your future. The reality is, none of that is fair because your past is not a prophecy, it's a classroom. There's also a layer of dignity that comes with keeping certain details to yourself. Relationships, no matter how they ended, once held moments of intimacy, trust, and vulnerability. Those are not pieces of your life to be passed around casually. They were real connections, even if they broke apart, and airing every detail to the wrong audience strips them of the privacy they once had. You can acknowledge your experiences without opening the door to every memory. You can share the wisdom without sharing the full wound. The older you get, the more you realize that some stories belong in a closed book, not because you're ashamed of them, but because they lose nothing by staying unspoken. You don't need the validation of others to process or understand what happened. You've already done the work to heal and grow. And when you keep those details private, you also protect the people involved, even if they're no longer part of your life. This speaks volumes about your character. You're not interested in dragging the past into the present or in letting it define the way others see you. There's a kind of quiet strength in letting people wonder without ever giving them the full answer. It forces them to get to know you for who you are now without leaning on outdated information. It keeps your present relationships cleaner and freer from comparison or shadowed expectations. And for those you allow into your inner circle, you get to decide exactly how much they know, ensuring that what you share is met with understanding and trust rather than idle curiosity. Your romantic history is not a public timeline. It's a private evolution, a series of steps that brought you to where you are now. Not every step needs to be dissected, explained, or justified to others. The lessons you've carried forward are what matter most, and those lessons are already visible in how you carry yourself, the standards you set, and the love you choose to give and receive today. The rest belongs to you, and it's perfectly fine to keep it there. Your weaknesses and insecurities are some of the most delicate parts of who you are, and not everyone should have access to them. They are the places where you've felt small, unsure, or unsteady, and they carry stories that most people won't understand the way you do. The truth is, when you reveal those soft spots to the wrong audience, you give them a kind of power over you, power they may not deserve and may not use with kindness. Some people will use that knowledge to protect you, but others will store it away for moments when it benefits them, consciously or unconsciously. Protecting your insecurities is not about pretending you're flawless. It's about ensuring that only the right people have the privilege of seeing the full, unguarded version of you. There's a misconception that being open about every insecurity is a sign of strength. While vulnerability can be powerful, it has to be intentional. You can choose moments to share when it will help you grow, deepen a relationship, or connect with someone who truly understands you. But if you share every insecurity with everyone, you invite a level of judgment, assumption, and even pity that can weigh you down. People can unintentionally or intentionally start to define you by those moments of self-doubt. And once they see you through that lens, it can be hard for them to see the full scope of your capabilities. Your weaknesses are not permanent. They are simply areas in progress. When you expose them too soon or too widely, you give people the chance to freeze you in place, to think of you as someone who will always be limited in that way. They may underestimate you, treat you more delicately than necessary, or even avoid trusting you with certain opportunities because they can't see beyond the insecurity you revealed. Protecting those areas gives you space to work on them privately, to strengthen them without outside voices shaping the process. There's also a kind of quiet dignity in keeping certain struggles to yourself. It allows you to navigate challenges without the noise of outside opinion. When fewer people know about your insecurities, you can focus entirely on your own perspective instead of worrying about how others are interpreting your growth. It keeps you in control of the narrative and ensures that you are the one who decides when and how to share. Sometimes, by the time you choose to talk about an insecurity, you've already conquered it, and the story becomes one of triumph instead of vulnerability. Life has a way of teaching you that not every piece of yourself needs to be displayed to be real. You can acknowledge that you're human, imperfect, and still evolving without handing over the blueprint of where you feel unsteady. The people who truly care about you will see your humanity without needing a list of your fears or self-doubts. And those who